Hello everyone, welcome to this video about Django-style bends for archtop. And I know this video has a clickbait title, a really awful clickbait title, and I do that on purpose because I've seen on several forums and also in the comments that some people really hate my titles, but it's kind of a joke, you know. And it's called a clickbait title for a reason. It's because people tend to click on it. I mean, I fall for it constantly. So of course, this title is complete nonsense. There's no special bend on 5 minutes 42. I just made it up. But this video is about a very nice subject, which can be used by both gypsy jazz players and archtop players or more modern jazz guitar players. And I've noticed that gypsy jazz players tend to use a lot of bends. That's because Django used a lot of bends, and all the modern gypsy guys do it, especially the Dutch style players like Stochelo and Paulus. But archtop players tend not to do it, probably because bends are usually associated with the blues guitar playing, and jazz guitar players tend to shy away from wanting to sound like that. And also, of course, many archtop players, they use like 15 gauge or maybe even 16. There are people that use a B string on the E string, so they have a 16 gauge, and the rest it's all based on a 13. So it's very difficult to bend those strings. And on my archtop I have 12, and it's easy to bend the strings, especially the higher strings. And we're going to mainly talk about bends on the B string, because for some reason that's the string was bent the most by Django. So I've selected six licks with bends in it, because the bends, it's not only about the bends, but it's also about the context in which the bends are played. And I've selected the bends all to be around the 10th fret, and you'll get bends on 7 chords, on dominant chords, on major chords, a 6 or major 7, and on minor chords. So let's start with some bends for 7 chords. And by the way, in the beginning I was playing Sweet Georgia Brown. I was trying to incorporate some of those licks. And of course, when you do this too much, it becomes too much, just like it says, it becomes too much. So you gotta use them with taste and just maybe 1-2 times in your solo. So don't use all 6 of these licks in a solo like I was trying to do. Okay, the first one is a bend on D7, and the phrase goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on D7. The bend is from a B flat to B, but you don't hear the B flat. You just hear a bend up to the B. And then you bend it back a little bit to go smoothly from the B to an A. The nice thing also is, of course, also the big interval from the C to the B. And so to make these bends sound really like Django, you gotta play them with some extra sauce, some extra sensitivity. Don't just do the bend, you know. Bend it quickly upwards and bend it slowly back. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next bend is on an A7 chord, and we're bending again from the B flat or from an A sharp to a B, but of course now it's A7, so we're bending to the 9. On the D7, the first lick, we were bending to the 13. So A7, 1, 2, 3. same principle. You want to play the bend with a lot of sensitivity. Bend quickly upwards, and bend slowly back. It's not that quick upwards. You want to hit the B fairly fast, but you don't want to hear the B flat at all. It's just a smooth sound. It's very difficult to describe. You gotta just try to listen to the sensitivity that I'm using, but also that Django uses, or Stochelo in solos, and then you'll get the sound. Because I found that when I teach this to, especially to non-gypsy jazz players, that they never get the right sound of the bend immediately. It either sounds too much like a blues guitar player, or it's too mechanical. It has to be like you're making a vocal glissando, like you're sliding up to the note with your voice. So it's smooth. It's not like this. No. Okay, great. Let's go to the next one. It's on D minor. And then it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. So this has actually two bends. One bend up, and then a bend down. And of course you can, it's with all the bends, but especially the first two bends, those licks are quite standard. You know, you always will play it like that. You always enter the bend like this, with a big interval, or with the other one. But this minor lick, you can approach the bend in several ways. You can play it like it's written. But let's say you play something like, or so several ways of going into that bend. But usually I play this right before G sharp A, and I always go down with this phrase. And then you can do other stuff, or play what is written. Okay, the next one is also for it's not for D minor. The next one is for G minor, and it's bending. So the last one, we bend it to the 7 of D minor, the C. Now we're gonna bend to a C again, but now we're on G minor, so we're bending to the 11. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Very well-known lick by Stochelo. He uses this all the time. It's probably one of his favorite minor licks. And a nice effect is to play quarter triplets right after the bend. So you could play something like 1, 2, 3, 4. You gotta hear with rhythm, right? Something like this. So you play the rest of the phrase not with 8 notes, but you kind of play them more pronounced, slower. Usually it's quarter triplets. Let's go to some bends for major chords, or for 6 chords. The first one is for C major 7 or C6. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's bending up to the major 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think Jimmy uses this, for instance, in his recording of the bossa made for Wesley. And then you have the chords like E minor, and then it goes to C major. And you play something like, great, nice sound. It's very sweet sound. You bend up to the major 7, then you resolve to the 6. And of course you could play this lick also here. So let's say a better example would be if we play it in G, then we can play it both here or this is the same fingering as the C one. So if you start, I was making a mistake, if you start on the A string, you don't have to skip a fret, you can stay in position. But if you start on the D string, you have to move up on the B string. But I usually move up already on the G string. Okay, and the next one is one I already gave you in another video. I think it was the end of another phrase, but you gotta know this one. It's on F6 and it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just bending up to the 5th. 3, 4, 1 on F. So let's say you have C7 before F. Beautiful little lick. And there's several famous licks that use this bend to the 5 from the sharp 4 to the 5. So this is one, and the next one is has the same principle but a different lick around it, like this: 1, 2, 3. The next phrase also uses this bend going up to the 5 of F, and it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. You can actually combine the previous one with this one by ending in the first phrase like this. Very Django-like. Okay, and the last one is one that you probably already know if you play gypsy jazz, and it's in D, and it's bending to the minor third. So it's a D major chord, but we're bending to the minor third. It's very bluesy, and we're bending to the 7. So those are the two notes that are in the minor blues scale. If you play a blues, let's say you play a blues in D, you play. So you have this minor third and the 7, and then Django often bends to these notes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Very bluesy, but this really works in gypsy jazz. Sometimes this lick is played without bends, like. Instead of, I think there's a famous solo of Django on Daphne where he starts, or it's somewhere in the beginning he plays. For instance, if Stochlo is playing something like September Song, like on C7, he would play in a solo, he would play on C7, which is the same, of course, as. So you can play this lick both on on 6 chords and also on 7 chords. That's usually the case with the really bluesy licks. You can play them both on dominant chords and on 6 chords. So this lick works great on both a D7 and a D6. And it works especially great in rhythm changes, for example. Or whenever you have a very long 1 chord or a very long 5 chord. But usually on a 1 chord. So these were the 6 bends, Django bends. I can't think of any more bends. I was just trying to work them out right before this video. And I think these are all the bends that I use. And of course, I don't use all these bends in one song, right? Maybe I was doing maybe a little bit too many bends in the beginning, but I was trying to demonstrate it. But I picked some to play. I have my favorites. For instance, in rhythm changes, I would definitely always play somewhere, you know. This one, the first one. A funny story about it is that I was playing at Django Amsterdam 2 months ago, and backstage I was jamming with a very famous Dutch archtop player, modern jazz player, and we were jamming, and then in the middle of a solo he stopped me. He said, "Sorry that I stopped you, I want to know, what are those bends that you're playing?" This one. I was playing. You can repeat them, you know? So what are those bends? Because that's so Django-like, and I have no idea what it is, because I've never... Those kind of bends are not in my ears. I've never played bends that sound like that. So that gave me the idea for this video, and I showed him, and he was surprised how easy it was, or that it wasn't some kind of weird theoretical thing. It's a pretty easy thing to do. So I hope you have fun with it. I bet you will, because it sounds great, and you can do it both on a gypsy guitar, but also on an archtop. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!